Welcome to the Farmerdale Podcast. Welcome to the Farmerdale Podcast. Welcome to the Farmerdale Podcast.
Well, welcome to the Farmerdale Podcast, episode number 13, lucky number 13, and I've got a lucky guest today. He is going to be awesome, but I first want to say thank y'all for everybody's been listening, to everybody's been watching. What I found is that most people are listening to Apple Podcasts, and that's pretty awesome. I listen to Spotify, but Apple Podcasts, the people that are watching this on YouTube, that's pretty awesome. So appreciate that. Make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that bell. And make sure you share it with your friends, because that's the only way we can continue on growing this podcast. And also, if you want to be a sponsor, I've got one. If you want to be another sponsor, we've got to keep this thing going. So look me up. Email me at farmerdalepodcast.com, and we'll get you hooked up with some advertising on our show. So anyway, our guest today, I've known him for a long time, and he's a basketball coach, he's a teacher, and he lives for basketball. And we're right in the middle of the basketball season. We were into the SEC tournament, watching some games the last couple of days, and it's just awesome. So get into March Madness. If you love basketball, this is the video for you. This is the podcast for you, because we're going to talk it all. The goods, the bads, the ugly. We may even get into a little offense, defense. I don't know. Because we've talked a lot about offense and defense before, because we used to coach together. And anyway, I'm so excited. Anyway, hey, let's get right big. Let's jump right into it. My guest today, his name is Al Graham, and he's awesome. So let's just jump right on into it and see what Al's got to say today. So
that's awesome.
Well, all right. Well, I told y'all my special guest was Al Graham today. So this is Al Graham.
How are we doing? Good to see y'all.
It's good. So we're going to get into Al's life and talk about how he grew up, and talk about his career in basketball and teaching and all that. So It's going to be pretty awesome. So, but I always ask our the first question always is, do you have any experience in gardening? Since this is the Farmerdale Podcast.
Unfortunately, no experience in gardening.
None.
I probably could help you dig some good holes back here to help you plant your stuff.
Yeah, but your mom likes to garden. Is
She's
that right?
really, so my grandparents owned a flower shop.
Yeah.
So that's what she forever, that's how she grew up, helping in the flower shop doing that. So that was a big hobby of my grandparents down on the Gulf Coast.
That's right.
Pascagoula, Mississippi. So
we talked a lot about that. I remember us having a conversation. So Al and I have known each other for a good number of years now, and
12 years.
12 years. You already know what it is. 12 years we've known each other, and I met Al when he was in college, and then so we'll talk about kind of how we got into that situation. But we did have a lot of conversations, because I was trying to grow flowers, and you knew a lady down in Mississippi that had her own flower business.
That's right.
I mean, it's really weird, because I started selling flowers to florists, and they were like, "Hey, do you know?" And I was like, "I don't, but I know of her.
Right.
I know the people that do know her."
Right.
And so anyway, I thought that was pretty awesome how we got all that done. So all right, let's since you don't have any gardening experience, you got nothing to share on how to grow stuff. That's okay, because our podcast is all about people's stories. All right, so let's start with, where did you grow up?
Okay, grew up, so I was born here in Memphis, Tennessee, Baptist East Hospital.
Wow.
1994, January 10th. And then I think it's about 8-9 months later, moved down to Oxford, Mississippi. And that's where I spent a majority of my life until really later on in high school. My parents finally moved back to Memphis.
Okay.
But I ended up still going to school in Mississippi, in Senatobia at Magnolia Heights.
Magnolia Heights.
But I went to a private school in Oxford.
Okay.
And 1 year of public school in first grade, but went to a private school called Oxford University School. So
is that still there?
It's not there anymore.
Yeah, I didn't think it was.
But I spent a lot of time there in Oxford, and during that time, it was a great place to grow up. Just for me, like, loving sports, and kind of got me exposed to just love for, being around people, being in a cool environment, to being in a college environment.
Right.
You know, every day of the week there's something to do. Which baseball game in the spring, basketball games in the winter.
Yep.
Saturday fall football games, so it was a great place to grow up. And
unfortunately, it was Ole Miss, though.
That's right. Unfortunately,
it wasn't Tuscaloosa.
That's right. We enjoyed our during those times. Going to the Independence Bowl was a big deal. I look forward to that every year. I was like, just the Music City Bowl. I remember 2000. 2000, Ole Miss finally went to the Music City Bowl, and I felt like Ole Miss was in the national championship game.
It's kind of like Memphis. When Memphis gets to go to Birmingham for
That's
the
right.
Birmingham Bowl or whatever it is, it
That's
changes
right.
names every year. They're
That's
like,
right.
yeah, we get to go to Birmingham.
That's right. That's right.
That's awesome.
But it was a good place to grow up, so I'm fortunate to have those great memories for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So you got any brothers and sisters? You got a sister?
Older sister. She's
sister.
5 years older than me.
Does she love basketball as much as you?
So she really knows a lot about it and keeps up with it just because it's just kind of ingrained in our family. Yeah. So she played up until like middle school, but then she's kind of the brains of the family.
Oh no.
So she was always the really good student, and she swam. She was a swimmer in high school.
Cool.
But didn't play basketball in high school.
They got swimming pools in Oxford. They had to swim in a pond.
So she actually went to. So my dad was working here. So she actually went to Hutchinson in high school.
That's right. I forgot.
So she swam in high school, but played basketball, played everything really up until middle school.
Yeah.
But really focused on her academics and but enjoyed that because I think that just it helped. It was a good exercise, but kind of gave her a team component and team aspect to be a part of. Yeah. But the basketball, she's been traveling around with our family and myself. My dad's taken us to about every basketball event that you could think of.
That man loves some basketball, doesn't he?
Because we used to, every year we'd go to the SEC tournaments. That was like our big, like around this time. Yeah. So that was our big spring break trip, was SEC tournament in New Orleans, Atlanta, or Nashville, because they used to rotate it.
Yeah.
So that was like our big trip every year. Was
that's in Nashville every year.
That's right.
Jenny and I were actually going to go before Jenny's dad got put in hospice this week. We were going to go watch Bama play tonight.
And they play Ole Miss tonight.
And I know, and that would have been
That's
awesome.
crazy.
I can't believe Ole Miss won last night.
I know.
We're filming this. This is Friday morning, by the way, because we're on spring break. And I'm like, let's go ahead and film that early in the morning so we don't miss any basketball games this afternoon.
That's right.
Okay, so do you remember your first team that you ever played on, like as a kid? You remember that?
For basketball?
Yeah, for basketball, yeah.
I do. It was OPC basketball.
OPC.
Oxford Park Commission.
Okay, all right.
And I was playing, I think I was in first grade, and I was playing up with a second grade team.
Okay.
And I want to say it was one of my dad's old teammates. His name was Reed Russell.
Yeah.
And he was helping coach.
Okay.
Because my whole family is from Mississippi, so my dad's from Pontotoc, which is 20 minutes on Highway 6.
Okay.
So not far away, but a bunch of people that he, still knew and kept up with were in Oxford. Yeah. So I was playing up, and I remember because I was playing with older, even in first grade, playing against a second grader was like a big deal. And I remember I used to be so nervous before every game because I was tiny. But those are some good memories. Yeah. But it's funny. I will say Rod Barnes was the coach at Ole Miss.
The old Rod Barnes.
His son was like 2 or 3 years older than me.
Okay.
But I remember they used to put your points in the newspaper, even in Park Commission. The Oxford Eagle.
Oh, what word?
I remember trying to look.
Small town.
I remember trying to look for, his name was Brandon Barnes. But I remember I was always like, he was like the guy everybody looked up to. But he was averaging like 30 a game in like third grade basketball.
He ended up coaching with his dad too.
He does. He's at Cal State Bakersfield.
Right, yeah.
But it's just funny, like even back to Oxford's changed a lot. I tell people that all the time, but even back in, what was that, 2000, 99, 2000, 2001, OPC basketball for elementary school boys and girls, they were putting scores in the newspaper
that's
and your
pretty awesome.
your stat lines. Yeah. So it was fun. It really was fun to grow up kind of in that environment. So, but that's the first team I remember. I don't remember our name and the name of our team. Yeah. But I do remember playing up with some older boys that year.
So you were first grade?
First grade. And then my dad coached me in second grade. Okay. And we played obviously upward basketball.
Right, yeah.
But like the more serious basketball was the OPC.
Down at the Park and Rec.
The Park and Rec, yep.
Yeah, okay.
And he coached me in 3rd grade, and then 4th grade, he kind of put me with someone else and let other people kind of start to coach me when I was around that age.
I did not play a team game of basketball until 7th grade.
Wow.
My parents either Tipton County didn't have all that, I don't know, or my parents, I had no idea all that was going on in the world.
Right.
But I wish I would have played earlier.
Right.
Because I went in as a 7th grader and all I had done was play out in the backyard.
Right. But sometimes that's kind of a good thing, though, too, in a way.
I guess it was. Yeah. I mean, I shot a lot of shots and spent a lot of time by myself.
Right.
Rebounding my own ball and, because I tell people a lot of times sometimes we start kids too early.
That's exactly right.
We're letting PK, JK kids dribble a basketball and they just pick it up and run with it. It's sometimes it's not fun to watch because it's not basketball. So I really don't know how much they learn from that.
Right.
But by the time they get to 1st, 2nd grade though, we're dribbling and passing and doing all kind of stuff if you're coached correctly.
Right.
So.
I will say during that time, baseball was actually like my sport.
Oh, really? Baseball?
I love baseball. Like that was I remember like if I were to ask my dad to like go do something sports related, it was let's go throw baseball or throw me some BP.
Yeah. Yeah.
And awesome. That was kind of the big thing. I think too, like it's funny, it sounds crazy, but like Ole Miss was good at baseball during that time. So I think that helped too.
Yeah. They're always pretty good in baseball though.
That's right. They are. I mean, they are. There's just Mississippi is kind of a big baseball state. But it's funny how even as a young boy, as a kid, like you're living in that environment, and like whatever team was good, you kind of gravitated to like wanting to be like those guys.
Well, that's how I became an Alabama fan, really, because I was watching it on TV as a young kid, and back in the '70s, Barry Bryant was beating everybody really bad until till the late '70s, and it kind of went downhill for a little while. But my younger years of just watching Bama play on Saturdays was like, that's how I became a Bama fan.
Right.
Because they were on TV all the time. I'm like, well, I'm rooting for them because they're winning. So I kind of jumped on the bandwagon kind of early.
It's funny kind of what you gravitate to as a kid.
Yeah.
But
so when did you stop playing baseball?
Stopped playing baseball going into my 8th grade year. Okay. Which is something I tell people all the time. I wish I would have kept playing.
Were you at Magnolia Heights then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I was.
All right.
But that was because Magnolia, we were loaded at baseball.
Magnolia Heights was.
But I think for me, I like the pace of the game in basketball.
Yes.
And I think that's something that I just always just naturally just always enjoy. Just that constant movement, constant motion, and just. Baseball, I love pitching because I felt like as a pitcher you got to control the game.
You were involved in the game.
That's exactly right? every play.
Yeah.
So I always loved when I got to pitch, and I will say too, I think which we can talk about this even later on, but I think I kind of lost my confidence a little bit in baseball. But I think too I was spending a majority of my time focusing on my basketball, so I wasn't putting the time outside of a practice into baseball. But I think that kind of, maybe a couple moments later on in my, middle school career as a baseball player, maybe not having the success, I kind of lost that confidence with the game. Yeah. And I always felt pretty good about basketball. That just kind of came naturally. So I think I just ended up wanting to gravitate towards that. Yeah. But I would tell people, don't put, the best lesson I learned was don't put all your eggs in one basket. Right. And our high school career and middle school career, that's why I liked Woodland. Yeah. That's the best time for boys and girls to play whatever they can. Yes. So that's the only moment you really get to do it. So that's right. You learn a lot.
Especially now, back 20 years ago, it seemed like everybody was playing 2-3 sports, even going in through high school.
That's right.
But now it's not that way.
That's right.
College scholarships have probably changed that of kids wanting to hone in their skill on one sport.
That's right.
But at Woodland, you're right. I mean, that's one great thing about Woodland is that we are allowing these kids to experience everything that we offer.
Right.
And as much playing time as they possibly can get, trying to prepare them to see how good they are. So
that's right.
And I think you don't get that everywhere. It's starting to spill down into other middle schools programs. You see kids that are trying to dedicate to one sport way early.
That's right. And I think we'll talk about this, I know, later on, but I think look at all the injuries now in sports. I mean, I don't think you heard about, which I know that happened, but Achilles injuries and the ACL tears and just everything going on right now at a young age. I think that is from playing one sport, one movement all the time.
Right, and too much training.
Too much. That's exactly right.
We'll talk about training here in a little while. All right, so you went to Magnolia Heights, and then you decided in high school you were like, "Hey, I'm going all basketball." Right? Now, I know we have talked. I know all this stuff because we've talked. We spent hours in my office talking about all kind of stuff and talking offense, defense.
Right.
How are we going to get our teams ready? But let's go. Let's do that part. So in high school, you honed in on basketball.
That's right.
So what was the process of you saying, "Hey, I'm just going all basketball"?
Really, so just even kind of background, like my dad played junior college basketball. Okay. So like, I know we've kind of like basketball was always like a big piece of the puzzle and the pie for me in my life. So I will say, so obviously 8th, 9th grade, I had obviously my varsity, 2 coaches, Coach Russ Whiteside, Coach Mark Dukes. Okay. But I'd known Coach Mark Dukes since I was living in Oxford in 1st grade. Right. And that was part of the reason why I went to Magnolia Heights was because he was there. So really, in terms of what did that process look like to kind of go all basketball was we would have 7th period workouts during school. Yep. So Monday through Wednesday, they were during the school day, our 7th period, so about an hour during the school day from 2 to 3. Yep. And then in the morning, we would go from like 8 to 8:55 or 9 o'clock. Okay. So those were Thursday, Friday. Okay. So what that process looked like was he was running 7th period. So like that was kind of the time where I really started to really work on my game a lot more in terms of getting, kind of really focusing on my individual skill workouts and just trying to get better. And he was there for kind of every step of the way. Yep. Him and because our high school coach, Coach Whiteside, would do a lot of football in the off season. Right. So Coach Dukes, he had been with me since I was 1st grade playing basketball. So he was just someone that, it's funny how he was kind of the coach where it's like you always felt better after the fact. So, you have some of those coaches just have that effect on you. Like you can come in maybe not feeling confident or feeling down about something or not believing in yourself, but the moment you're done with a session with him, like he takes you up to here, and that's kind of that was kind of his role for me. Like,
you say that it's kind of. I was listening to an interview yesterday with the kid from Ole Miss and Coach
Beard.
Coach Beard. They were interviewing after the game, and one of the things he said, he would not be who he is without Coach Beard. Right. Because Coach, he was like, when I got to. I was not that great when I got to Ole Miss, but Coach Beard has really taken him to the next level. So coaches are very important.
That's right.
They can be very positive.
That's right.
They can be very negative.
That's right.
And drag you down too, and be both ways. So having a coach like that is very valuable.
That's right. And then also, later on, moving back to Memphis, because that's one thing kind of even to tell your viewers, like kind of the latter part of my high school career and even beginning kind of in my middle school, my parents, we had moved back to Memphis. And
that's right. So you were driving back and forth.
I thought about, going to schools back in Memphis, but I just felt comfortable where I was. Yeah. And I had such a great relationship with Coach Dukes and, even one of my best friends, I got 2 of my really good friends in high school. One of his mom was my Latin teacher. Okay. And then another one of my friends was his dad was our headmaster. So I don't know, I just had really good connections and just a good family atmosphere. And I liked the small school and felt like I had people there to look out for me and take care of me. So
that's awesome. So all right, so you finished out your senior year. Did you ever go to state tournament?
So the best chance we had of winning. So in Mississippi, it's a little different. So they have you have a division state tournament, and then you have the big state tournament. But then you have actually the overall state tournament. Right. So the overall tournament was always kind of the goal.
And it was private school. So in Mississippi, they still got public school and private school.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So in Mississippi, you had AAA,
was it MPSA?
MPSA, and then became MAIS. So you had AAA, AA, single A. Right. So we were Division 2. We were AAA Division 2. Okay. And then so we would have our own individual kind of state tournament. It would be like a district kind of tournament, and then you go to the actual Division III state, and then the top two, or maybe I think it was top two would go to the overall. Or maybe it was top three. I can't remember, but it was that was the big thing you wanted to win was overall.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
But our best chance to go to overall and win was my 9th grade year. I got moved up later on my 9th grade year on the varsity team. I didn't play, but got moved up. 10th grade year we had a good chance, but we couldn't get to that because you had to get to the state. In that division, I was saying that Division I, Division II, you had to get to the actual like state championship to move on, and that was always pretty tough. But really, my 11th grade year, we hosted, and we got upset. I remember that was one of my better games in high school, but I remember we played Oak Forest, and they had I can't remember his first name, but his last name was Masita. And I remember he was going to play football at La Tech. So he was a good athlete. He was about 6'2", really strong, running back.
Post player?
At that level, he was kind of like he handled the ball. But I remember he hurt us a lot in that game. But I remember they beat us by maybe 2. But that was like our chance. That was because we were hosting it at home.
And there's nothing worse than hosting the tournament.
That's right. And
getting beat. And you got to finish out the tournament.
We got beat in that first round. But I remember it was East Rankin and Oak Forest in the championship. But looking back, like those are two teams like we were probably better than that year. But that's the thing about basketball. Like I think that's what makes this month fun with the March Madness.
Absolutely.
You never know. You never know. Even happens this year in the Tennessee State tournament.
It did.
Who had been the team all year and got beat by one of their best players gets hurt like the first minute, and then
it's rough there. It's rough, especially in a tournament like that. You get a kid go down in the game.
That's right.
It's like your kids may not be able to overcome that.
That's right. And that's the tough.
What are we going to do now?
That's the tough thing about basketball because you can have this whole body of work, and just one game. It takes just one game for you to. For you to lose, your high seed and have a chance to win championship.
Right.
But I would say that junior year was kind of one of my better years as a high school player, which we can talk more about. But my senior year, first game, I broke my wrist.
That's right, I remember that.
So, but played on it. I didn't play very well just because I was playing, and it was my right wrist. But I'd tape it up every game and just go play.
It's tough. Yeah, well, nothing's going to stop me.
That's right. But I think that we can talk more about. But I think that year taught me a lot.
Yeah.
So
when did you have any? And because you do a lot of training now, which we'll talk about here in a little while. Did you have any personal trainers then outside of Coach Dukes?
I did. So I had Coach Dukes at school. I had a guy named Jamie Rosser for a while that I've told you about before he moved on to coach Division I basketball. And then I had a guy named Lynn Smith. And Lynn, it's funny, he was actually
over at Overton.
Overton. Right? Yeah. He was coaching the girls team, but he actually played for Lon Kruger at Kansas State.
Wow, that'd be crazy.
Which is crazy because Lon Kruger is one of the only coaches in college basketball history to take five teams to the Sweet 16. Or at least the NCAA tournament. It's funny, my dad was at Florida. He was getting his master's, but Lon Kruger was the coach at Florida. But he just has a really good history. But it's funny, you would never know, him at Overton coaching these girls. They had a really good team, but you would never know kind of his basketball knowledge and his history. But he was one of the best in terms of shooting coaches. He was probably one of the best shooting coaches that I've had. And honestly, a lot of the drills that I try to use now, he kind of planted those seeds for me. Because he actually had some experience with NBA players.
Right.
So, and it's funny, just some of his techniques and the way he taught it. Back to then again, another coach that you come in the gym not feeling good about your shot, or just feeling, not feeling good as a player, but immediately in 1 hour could take you from here to there. So he had that effect on me. And
that's always awesome because I've trained a lot of kids too. Don't do it anymore, but you're still doing a lot of that. it's awesome to see a kid come in and they're struggling, and by the time they're done with that workout, they're like, "This is awesome!"
That's right.
They've gotten so much better just within an hour workout.
That's right.
And it wasn't necessarily anything I did except push them and drive them to be better than what they were.
That's right.
And give them a few little tips here and there, right?
That's right.
So just give them this tip, this tip, this tip. Makes them so much better.
That's right.
And that's something you're fantastic at, and I've always said that. So let's talk about how you walked in my gym.
Okay. Yeah.
The Woodland Gym.
That was 2014.
2014.
Well, it started before that. I actually started first time in the Woodland Gym was actually 2012.
So you were, and I think
I was in college still.
You were in college at Ole Miss, but you had come home and you were working out Charlie Gilbert
and Sam Gallup
in our gym, and I'm in the office, and I think I think Charlie's mom had called me and said, "Hey, can we use the gym to work Charlie out?" And I said, "Yeah, no problem."
Right.
And then you started working out, and then that's where our relationship kind of started from that point. And then I saw what you were doing. I'm like, this kid's really good. This kid's really awesome. I'm like, so we started up and started our conversation, our relationship, and I was like, how are we going to get you on my staff? Right? So then all of a sudden you decide, because you were at Ole Miss.
I was at Ole Miss for 2 years.
Right. So tell us how you went from Ole Miss to Memphis and how all that went down.
So obviously growing up in Oxford, if I was I really wanted to, looking back, back to even in high school, like my goal was to always try to play college basketball. Right. Even at my size, I was realistic. Like I knew probably D3 basketball. So I kind of wanted to go potentially to like Millsaps. And honestly, my old athletic director, which Coach Patterson, he unfortunately passed away, but he was a big mentor. But I remember later on, my mom, it was my mom telling me later on, she was like, Coach Patterson used to come to me like every day. He saw me and it was really trying to push me. He was like, Al needs to go to Millsaps and play basketball. Right. Which the tough thing too about D3 is obviously you do have a little bit of scholarship, like a leadership scholarship, but those schools are pretty expensive too. Yes. So I kind of realized like, you know what, I'm just gonna go enjoy being a student. Obviously, I knew that Ole Miss was gonna be probably that spot just because it was familiar to me, and that's kind of I do love that university. Right. So I ended up just being a normal student, was in a fraternity, I was a Sigma Nu, and that was good because I knew a lot of the guys because I'd played against them in sports. But I knew kind of long term, it was like I kind of felt like I'd lost my identity. It's funny, it sounds easy, and people talk about this all the time, but like the moment that you are like you play that last game as an athlete, in the moment like it doesn't it's a tough feeling. It is a tough bad feeling, and
especially if it was a loss.
I remember my last. I think about my last basketball game. It sounds crazy. I think about it every single day, which is we can talk about later on. But a lot you don't realize even in that moment, like people cope with things differently. So I really honestly kind of had trouble like not having that in my life. Right. I feel like my identity had kind of gone away a little bit. Right. So in college, I was just, being a normal student. I knew I wanted to try to get in. I was trying to find a way to get involved in basketball. I actually had started as a girls practice player.
That's right, you did, yeah.
So I was going to do that, but the coach got let go. I think I told you about all that stuff. There is some recruiting violations in the program, and the coach, before he even coached a game, got let go. Yeah. And in that moment too, I was trying to pledge a fraternity. And they were kind of putting some stipulations and saying like,
you got to do this.
Yeah, you got to do that. So I ended up just going that route and saying, you know what, let me just maybe try to just enjoy a year or two and just, just meet people and just enjoy a good college experience and try to, use where I am to, for a future. And I was majoring in accounting.
Yeah, that's that. I'm like, I don't know why you were doing that. I know why you were doing it, but it was like, that's not Al Graham.
But it's funny. I remember really my sophomore year. I think really it was my sophomore year. Yep. I kind of began to feel like, all right, I gotta start kind of getting. I gotta figure out what I really want to do in life. And I remember I knew. It's funny. There's actually a series on YouTube, and he's actually like he become like a world renowned like trainer and does this stuff right here. But his name was Devin Williams, and he had this show called 10,000 Hours. It was called In the Lab, and In the Lab was like going to the gym.
Right.
But he put it on YouTube, and I remember my sophomore year, I'd watch those little series that he'd put out, and they'd be like hour long. But he'd be in the gym training these guys. Yeah. And I think Devin Williams, he was like a really good player in California. So, and he had like some really good handles. And I remember like, because I used to love dribbling the ball when I was in high school.
You still love it.
So I remember I remember watching him train these guys. Yeah. And I was a sophomore in college. Yeah. I'd be sitting in, Sigma New House or at my parents' condo. And like, honestly, it sounds crazy, but like watching that series, it like got the fuel. It really did. Like got the fuel going again. I was like, you know what? I've got to figure out a way to like be around the game. Yep. And it's funny, you come back to it with a different perspective. You kind of come back to it more mature, and you kind of realize your shortcomings, your downfalls, and you can kind of use that. I was kind of going through some pain at that time. Like I was struggling. Yeah. But I kind of realized I could use that to better myself, but also most importantly, better, someone around me. Right. And I think that's what coaching and training has allowed me to do is do what I love, but also help someone else. Yeah. Yeah.
So walking in my gym, starting to train those kids, we get a relationship. And then one day I'm like, I need an assistant coach. I need a 5th and 6th grade basketball coach. I need an assistant because I was still coaching boys at that time. And I'm like, what do you think?
That's right.
And then you had decided to come to Memphis.
That's right.
Move back to Memphis and go to Memphis. And I'm like, well, this is just all working out great.
Yeah, that was after my sophomore year. So after my sophomore year, I decided, I was like, you know what? Like, I feel like I can be around the game. And that was really kind of what wanted me. That kind of was that really sounds crazy, but basketball was kind of the reason that I transferred and went back to Memphis. Because I told myself I had a chance to work as a manager for the men's team at Ole Miss. And looking back, it would have been a great opportunity. But I remember telling my dad, I was like, I'd rather, even if I just worked with like a first grader.
That's right.
And like taught him or her how to shoot a basketball. Like I would feel I feel like I'm actually doing something. So that was kind of the reason that I came back to Memphis was just the opportunity to try to coach and be around the game and just start trying to kind of create a career with basketball.
That's right.
So
and you have.
That's right. You have. I've tried to.
All right. So now, because we could just go on and on about everything. All right. So you came to you went to college, went to Memphis.
That's right.
We hired you as a teacher to teach 5th and 6th grade social studies.
That's right.
But your goal and your whole purpose was to be the best basketball coach of all time, right? I mean, that's really what it was. So, but teaching had to come along with that,
Absolutely.
Right? So you did a great job in the classroom. And then I kept telling you from the very beginning, I'm like, I'm not doing this very much longer.
Right.
And I said, in the next couple of years, I'm giving this up, and I'm going to turn it over to you. So I don't know when that was.
That was
a couple of years after that.
That was actually, I remember. I don't know why I've always God blessed me with a good memory.
He didn't me nothing. I got nothing.
But that was 2019.
2019. So about,
which is crazy. You know what? That was actually February before COVID.
Yeah. Wow.
That's when you told the boys. We went and told the boys that which I'm thankful because which really even going back to later on being at Woodland, that was kind of the start of. Those are moments that I will cherish forever. But that was back to for the 7th, 8th grade position. That's when that started, was 2019.
That's right, yeah, because you were doing the 5th and 6th grade. You know what I loved, though, was at that time, I was kind of burned out, and we talked a lot about me burning out. I'd done it for so long, and I'm like, I got to have a break, right? So,
I understand.
So then you took over. But one of the great things about that, even those last 3 or 4 years that I was still the head coach, that I was able to walk out of the gym and I was so confident that you had that practice. And a lot of coaches don't have that.
Right.
They don't have that ability to just say, hey, my assistant coach could take over at any point in time.
Right.
And you had to do that because I think it was my grandfather or grandmother that passed away, and I had to go to the funeral. And you had to take over. And
I remember.
And it was a tournament game, and you had to coach that tournament game.
Right. I remember it was FACS. I think
was it
a couple of FACS games.
Yeah. So, but you are remarkable at training kids, and that's what's really awesome. You're bench coaching and all that kind of stuff. When you first started out, it was shaky, right?
That's right.
It was like I didn't know when to call timeouts. I didn't know any of that kind of stuff.
And it's funny. It's like you had to learn. One thing I had to learn really with that, like being on the sideline, was you had to learn to trust yourself.
Right.
Like it's funny. Like you have to learn, and you have to learn that. Like it's funny, which my grandmother always told me this. She's like, you're innate, and even my mom's parents used to tell me, like, your gut feelings, like, trust those.
Trust that
because there's a reason, like, you had, like,
absolutely,
God gave us that instinctual ability, and it's kind of amazing. But honestly, it's like, back to even, it took me a while, because those first couple of years, like, I didn't really trust myself.
Right.
And, but it's funny, I kind of remember having that conversation. I remember it's just kind of funny. It was actually John Calipari, which I know.
Love John Calipari.
Which you're probably like, where are we going with this? But I remember reading something about John Calipari. It was like, look, he was talking about as a coach, you have to be yourself.
Yep.
And I remember him saying, like, if you're a yeller screamer, and that's who you are, and that's kind of how God wired you, like, be that. If you're more calm, be that. Like, don't be someone that you're not.
That's right.
And it sounds crazy, but like, I remember reading that, and it kind of like hit home with me. I was like, you know what? Like, I got to start being myself.
Yep.
I got to start trusting myself. Like, I've been fortunate to be around some good coaches, and you've, kind of entrusted me and empowered me. So like, I've got to take this opportunity and, really make the most of it, but just trust myself. If I feel like it's the right thing to do, go for it.
That's right.
So,
that's true. Well, now you have you left Woodland, and your goal was to go to college and coach in college. That didn't necessarily work out.
Right.
You had it, and it kind of fell apart. Right. But then you get this opportunity to go to Briarcrest, be an assistant at Briarcrest on their varsity team. You coached their 5th and 6th grade team for a year, I think, right?
I did.
And then
help with the 7th, 8th grade.
Coach Harrington.
That's right.
Hired you on as one of the assistants for his varsity team, and then you had an opportunity this past year to go to Christian Brothers High School
in a full-time role,
back teaching, and coaching as an assistant on their varsity team.
That's right.
Well, let's take a break, and we'll get back into that
for sure. Sounds
and
good.
Talk about you coaching at Christian Brothers, because I want to talk about the difference in being an assistant coach and a head coach, going from middle school to high school, which is a big jump. So we'll talk about all that. Plus, I got some questions about some rules that I don't like about basketball that I think need to be changed, but maybe you don't, because maybe you like those rules.
Right. No, I'd love to talk about it. It'd be awesome.
So we'll see. We'll be right back. Well, today's episode is brought to you by Groome and Company and Dewey Dillard. Dewey Dillard is a local realtor here in the Bartlett, Lakeland, Arlington area. He can service all of Memphis. He can service all the way down into Mississippi. So if you're looking to buy or sell a house, you need to call Dewey Dillard today at 901-218-1958. He is one of the best guys I've ever met, and he's going to do you right. He's going to find the best value for your house. He's going to find you the best value for a brand new house. He's just going to overwork and find you the best deal. So if you're looking to find or buy a house, you need to find Dewey. He works for Groome and Company. They are one of the top 2% companies in the Memphis area, and just unbelievable. So why not call Dewey today to buy a house or to sell your house? Call Dewey today, 901-218-1958. Do it today and tell him Farmer Dale sent you. All right, welcome back to the Farmer Dale podcast. We still got our special guest, Al Graham, here. And we're going to talk about some different stuff, but it's still about basketball, of course. All right, so we left off with you going to Christian Brothers High School, being a history teacher.
Right.
What is the difference, let's start with that. What is the difference when teaching 5th and 6th grade social studies to teaching? Because what level are you teaching at Christian
Ninth and
Brothers?
10th graders.
9th and 10th graders. What is the difference in that?
A big difference.
Because I did the flip. I went from high school back to middle school.
I remember walking into my first class, obviously all boys, 28 boys, and thinking, oh, good, like they a lot of people still think I'm a
Young,
student there.
Right.
So
that's right.
But it's funny, like I know it sounds like an easy answer, but it's really kind of the same in terms of like I'm a big believer in like you have a plan. You have something written down. Like it's funny. Like obviously in basketball, I'm a big planner. You know this,
and I'm not. So I'm a fly by the seat of my pants kind of guy.
So like in basketball practice, you have a 2-hour practice. So you have 120 minutes. So I remember, I'd have those minutes planned to the T.
Right.
But I try to do that even in teaching. Like, all right, we're going to do this, this, and this. But I think having a goal expectation plan every single day. Hey, we're in here to answer this question. We're in here to learn about this topic. Like, just one or two things.
Yeah. And we talked a lot about that when we were coaching together. Was I didn't necessarily have that timed out. Right. I had a goal. I knew what I wanted. But I think as time went on through all of our practices, we decided that working on one or two things in this practice, because in middle school, we got an hour and 15 minutes. High school, y'all go much longer, of course. But you only get so much done. And how successful are you going to be if you try to work on 5 different things and you only spend 15 minutes on it?
That's right.
So is that what your concept still is?
Absolutely. Like it's with high school, one thing I've tried to do is like, obviously, as a teacher, I think the best teachers are kind of like the ones that are just facilitators. Like they kind of create the environment. Right. Let the students kind of, have the ability to learn on their own at times, but also you're kind of there to guide them. Right. So I feel like as a high school teacher, I'm trying to do more of that, like group work, primary source type stuff. Like y'all kind of dive into it. Right. Yeah. Here's the question you are trying to answer. And you have to, find evidence in these documents. But I'm here to kind of, at times, provide the background knowledge and information. Yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of that constant balance of like, as a high school student and as a college student, like that's kind of how you have to learn. Like in the future, when you're in college, they're going to say, "Here's the information. Here's what you're trying to do." Like you got to kind of run with it. Yeah. So as a high school teacher, I'm trying to do more of that. So obviously I'm there to guide them and teach them the concepts, but it's a lot more maybe hands-off at times. Yeah, maybe. A lot. I mean, obviously you're still there running the show, trying to be kind of the commander in the classroom. But I would say obviously in middle school it's a lot more hands-on in terms of. And you can't really go into maybe the detail as like a history teacher, just because it can get...
It'll be a lot.
It can be a lot. So it's like, how do you present what needs to be presented for middle school? Yeah. And two, you're trying to make it, in middle school, you're trying to, which even in high school, you're trying to make it a fun learning environment. But I would say middle school, probably more like project-based learning. High school at times, which... It's just the reality of history. Sometimes you have to kind of maybe go through a 15, 20-minute lecture about, just to give them some background knowledge, which would be a little hard for a middle schooler.
Especially a 5th and 6th grader. I think the biggest difference, I think the teaching, how do you teach is all kind of about the same. How do you process, but the teaching part's still the same. I think the relationship is different. Most definitely from a high schooler to a middle schooler.
Way different.
Especially in the 5th and 6th grade level.
Way different.
Totally different. I did enjoy that part of the high school because the relationships you got, it's a little bit more like having an 8th grader, having a bunch of 8th graders, right? Because you really can relate sometimes to 8th graders. Sometimes you just don't relate to the class or you don't relate to the team. It's like I just never got involved in that team.
You're right.
But I think the relationships are different with that. All right, so coaching-wise, though, going from 5th and 6th grade, going 7th, 8th grade, becoming a head coach, and then going back to being an assistant, what do you think the major differences are between being an assistant and being a head coach, especially on the high school level? As you see, you haven't been a high school head coach yet. You're going to be at some point. But what do you think the biggest differences are?
Well, obviously, when you're a head coach in middle school, you kind of have that luxury of like, I tell people all the time, throwing stuff against the wall, seeing what sticks. Like you have that freedom to do that. And obviously, you kind of have the freedom as an assistant to present ideas and present ways to kind of attack problems that you're facing as a team or as a staff. But as an assistant, like, which I always tell every assistant, every coach I'm working under as an assistant, at the end of the day, I'm 10 toes behind you.
Right.
Like your voice, like I have to be, as an assistant, I have to be an extension of the head coach's voice.
Right.
So at the end of the day, it's like, the reality is like, I might not agree with what's going on. Right. I'm just, coming up with an example. Like you might not agree. Like I might want to run zone here.
Right.
On this
That's
play.
exactly what I was talking about.
I might want to run zone personally, but the coach wants to play a 1-3-1 or a man-to-man and trap on the side ball screen. I might not want to do that, but I have to be 10 toes behind the head coach, extension of his voice. If that's what the coach wants, all right, we're going to get it done. Yeah. So really that would be, I know it sounds simple, but your ideas, it's funny, like as an assistant, your ideas are geared towards their system. So you're trying to get creative within how do I teach his system in a way that they still want it. As a head coach, your ideas are way more about like, you can try anything. Like you can have any system. Right. Your ideas are about 10 systems. Right. Does it make sense? Right. Your ideas as an assistant are about that one system, but how can I maybe add to it or, try to, come up with maybe right now the big thing is kind of the small-sided games. So
right, we're going to talk about that in
that's kind of been the way as an assistant. That's how I've been trying to really add some value is create scenario within our system, create some scenarios, kind of run it by our head coach and say like, do you kind of approve in our breakdowns if I can kind of teach and coach our system in this way? Yeah. So I feel like as an assistant, you have to find a little bit of, you can still have those ideas that you would want as a head coach to be able to try something, but you're doing it in the field of how the head coach wants it to be done. Yeah. So
and I've never been an assistant. We talked about that. I went straight out of college, went into middle school, head coach in high school, back to head coach in middle school, never was an assistant. My only time as an assistant was when you were coaching 5th and 6th grade. Right. I'm just sitting the bench with you. And I didn't really coach very much. I took the aspect of, when the kid came out of the game, set the bench.
Which is
coach valuable. That kid up right there. It's very valuable, right? That's one of the most valuable things an assistant coach can do is when they come out, they might have gotten their butt chewed out or something by the head coach. And how do you get that kid refocused? Because maybe they didn't handle that very well.
That's right.
So those types of things. I remember, because I'm a very control freak, and I want to do what I want to do. And you kind of changed that for me, because you came in and I knew that you knew what you were doing and you were so confident in it. And I've never met anybody that's done more research in running an offense or how are we going to run this defense. You talked about YouTube a while ago. I remember in 1995, it was when I first started coaching, the internet was just coming alive. And I had this, I think Jenny's dad gave us an old computer desktop, thing.
Right, that's fun.
And we hooked up to dial-up internet. So I went home and I started. I think it was Yahoo. Right. Then there was no Google at that time. Right. And I pulled up the shuffle offense, and somebody had written it out. Right. And they had photocopied it, and they attached it, and they put it on there. It was like 200 pages long. Right. It was a very complex offense. So I went back to school and I printed that thing out. And I was like, we're going to run shuffle offense. I spent hours studying just the shuffle offense. Right. And then that's fine. I never ran it when I was at Kirby. Right. Didn't need it. Right. But I had studied that thing. Right. And then when I got to Bolton, coaching the varsity girls, which was a whole nother level, I was like, we're going to run the shuffle. Right. I knew it forward and backwards. Right. My assistant coaches didn't know it. I gave them full copies of everything. I said, y'all got to go home and learn this. Right. But as an assistant, I remember you were great at coming up with brand new ideas, and we got to do this different. I remember one game, I don't even know who we were playing. My mind was going so fast. I don't think that I could. I called the timeout.
We've all been there.
I called the timeout, and I looked at you, and I was like, I don't really know what I should say. I mean, it was really a weird moment.
Right.
And then you already, in your brain, you had already figured out, we got to run this play.
Right.
And you had studied this play. You called it. You drew it up on the board. And we don't normally like to do that.
Right.
Do something fresh.
Definitely with that age.
Especially on that age.
Yeah.
High school, you may be able to draw it up really fast. Middle school, not good. We got to be able to run that in practice.
Right.
But you drew it up. We went out. I don't even know if it worked. I don't know. But you stepped in at that moment.
Right.
And just took over.
I think it might have been actually, it sounds crazy, Rossville.
Might have been.
I think it was Rossville against a 2-3 zone maybe.
Might have been.
We're trying to, I remember stepping in.
Screened it differently.
I think we did. I think we screened the middle guy in some way. But but then again.
That's what an assistant coach does though, right?
But then again, I always ask myself coaching, like I do ask myself, like, if Mike Krzyzewski was watching this game or this team, like what would he be looking at or thinking about? Like I think about
my team right now?
Yeah, like I think about that all the time. Like in these moments, what would he, the best coach in the world, be looking at and watching?
Yeah.
But the reality is, you can only see, like we only have 2 eyes. We can only be looking at 1 or 2 things. So
that's right.
Then again, that's where the value of an assistant, your eyes can be in different places. Right. So
yeah, a good assistant is
it really is
so important. It really is, because now I've been coaching the girls team for 3 years and I haven't had an assistant, and I do it all by myself.
Right.
Which is, the game's a little slower in girls and that kind of stuff, but assistants are still so important.
Absolutely.
Especially in practice when you're able to go, hey, I need you to take this group of girls and go work on this.
That's right.
And a lot of times assistants they may be just doing all defense.
That's right.
Depending on how many assistants you have.
Right.
You got an assistant just calling all the defense, or you got an assistant calling all the offense, or whatever it may be. Especially when you get in high school and the college level, you really have that. Because I think at Briarcrest, y'all had like 10 assistants.
We had a bunch.
You were way on down the list.
We had a bunch.
But it's you and Coach Luckett, basically, and y'all got some coaches.
We got Coach Scott,
JV,
Coach Jackson,
coaching the freshman teams and that kind of stuff too. So, okay, well, look, I know at some point you're going to be a high school basketball coach. There's no doubt. We've always talked about
I'm trying.
that. You are. There's no doubt about it. That opportunity, God's going to open that up for you, and you're going to be awesome being a high school basketball coach. That opportunity just hadn't shown up yet.
Right.
But I know your love would still be to coach college someday. That's the ultimate goal, right?
It really
still is.
I tell people that it really is. I think it goes back to growing up in a college town, and I just think too, like I wanted to play in college.
Yep.
Didn't get to do it.
Right.
So I kind of have, just reality, just human nature. I tell people, like, kind of open up and be honest. Like, you kind of have that little bit of that chip on your shoulder.
Yeah.
But it also is it's not a bad chip on the shoulder. It's a good chip on the shoulder,
absolutely.
because it's kind of like the old saying, shoot for the moon, land on the stars. Like, if I don't have that dream or that goal to be working that hard to do that, all these other opportunities.
Right.
So it's almost like having that goal is at least, allow me to focus and find a goal and a passion in life. And but it's opened up all those other doors.
Right.
So I do have that kind of reality and that mindset of like, live where your feet are, and whatever moment you're in, try to make it the best you can. So whether that's with middle school or college or Euro League or NBA, like wherever you are, you gotta try to make an impact.
Well, God's going to lead you down the right path, and you had no idea when you went to Ole Miss and you were an accounting major.
No,
I didn't have any idea that I really wanted to be a coach.
Right.
But he keeps opening up those doors, and he's going to open up
That's
those
right.
doors and continue. He's going to put you exactly where you wanted to be.
Yeah.
I had that same goal going in, especially when I was moving into Bolton. I thought I was the greatest coach of all time. I had just a great team. We talked about that. I just walked into a great situation at Kirby Middle.
Right.
Walked into a great situation at Bolton.
Right.
And I just kind of facilitated it. Right. I thought I was awesome.
Right.
But in reality, it was my players. And just kind of leading them down the right path. But God opened up all those doors for me, and
Absolutely.
He's going to continue doing that for you. Okay, well, follow Al Graham. He's on Instagram. He's on, he does a lot of stuff. So just follow him and find out what he's going to do in the future. All right, let's talk about some hard-hitting questions.
Okay.
And we talked a lot about this one question. Zone defense or man defense? You grew up all man.
Right.
I grew up in a man off, man zone, played a lot of zone, saw a lot of value in zone. When you came to Woodland, we didn't argue about it, but we disagreed greatly because you wanted to come in and go all man.
Right.
I was like, this is middle school. Let's teach some zone principles. Right. And
I love that we're starting with this, to be honest.
Okay. So there was a large disagreement on this because I was trying to teach the Syracuse 2-3, a lot of it, and a lot of those principles were man principles.
Right, they are.
We just didn't chase people all around the court. Right. Because I felt like teaching man, my hour practice takes a lot of time.
That's right.
It's a process.
That's right.
So are you still in that mindset of I want to be all man? Because now you're Christian Brothers, and I know they play nothing but man.
That's all we all. That's all. That's kind of
man all the way. You may play it different ways.
Right. We have to play a little bit of zone at times. Just foul trouble. Right, size. Yeah. Obviously, we had to play a little more zone this year because of we didn't have really much size.
Right. Yeah.
We had a few injuries, but I will. Are you talking about for middle school age?
Anything.
Okay.
What do you think?
No.
Let's start on the elementary level.
Okay. Yeah.
So some of the elementary leagues, they make you play a man.
That's right.
Some of them make you play a zone, but you can't get out. Like very little kids, they can't get out of the paint.
Right. Right.
What do you think? Well, what's the best way to teach kids on how to play defense?
So, well, I think really maybe starting with, at least a man-to-man principle of guarding the basketball.
Guarding the basketball.
I think that's an important aspect of the game. Yeah. Like at every level, you're going to have to actually stay in front of the basketball and try to contain it. But I've also been thinking a lot because like you said, I was kind of let's play man-to-man.
Right.
I did play some zone in middle school, though, too.
You did.
Just because I wanted to expand and learn how to teach different concepts.
Right.
But here's one thing I've been thinking a lot about, because I've actually been thinking about this a lot, because you have all these other people on podcast and Twitter and Instagram coming out and saying that 2-3 zone at these ages should be illegal.
Right.
Things
I've
like
heard that. Yes, I've heard that.
But I've also been thinking okay, let's think about this concept. Let's say you have a team, which you probably shouldn't be traveling if you're in these situations. But let's just say you are. Let's say you have a team or a local team that's maybe not the best, and you're trying to teach them. Maybe they're new to the game, and they're let's say 10-year-old. Let's say you're teaching 10-year-old, coaching 10-year-old basketball, and you're coaching rec league, and maybe your team isn't the best,
right?
And you're getting beat 20, 30 points trying to play man. Those kids are going to, the reality at that age, if you're getting beat by that much, your team's confidence is going to be, way in the dumps,
right.
But let's say maybe 2 or 3 games you play zone and you keep it within 10 points. Yep. Their morale is going to be a lot higher, if that makes sense. So I feel like there's, at times, to be honest, to answer your question simply, basketball is basketball. Some teams play zone, some teams play man. At the end of the day, it's the coach's job to try to put them in a situation to be successful. And just because you're playing zone on one end doesn't mean you're not teaching the fundamentals and the principles of the game. You can, when the ball goes to the wing in a 2-3 zone, you're guarding the basketball. Yep. The other guy's taking away the ball side elbow. You're still in a help situation. Right. So I feel like the principles can still be taught even in that situation. Right. That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I would say that, if you feel like that's the best way to coach your team, all power to you. Because I feel like in that situation, I think that I've been thinking about that a lot. If you have a team that's going to get beat by, as a rec group, 30, 40 points playing man, they're not going to enjoy playing basketball. Yeah. And you can still teach the offensive game and the concepts as well. So I would say that zone defense, maybe not in 7-year-old basketball sitting in a zone. Let them run around and
let them get active.
Let them get active. But maybe past 6th grade or so, 5th, 6th grade, it's part of the game. You got to, at some point, those boys and girls are going to have to learn how to see a zone and attack the zone. And
when you see coaches like Coach K, his last couple of years, because he was all man.
That's right.
All the way. And I think one of Coach K's philosophies was we're gonna guard that 3-point line.
That's right.
We may give up a layup, but we're going to guard the 3-point line. So you watch how Coach K played defense.
That's right.
It's a little different when, like Coach Barnes, when he was at Ole Miss.
That's right.
I remember learning from him that he pushed everything baseline into a trap, into the short corner. That was his thing, and he didn't want the ball to be reversed. Like if the ball ever got back to the wing, I do not want that ball to be skipped.
Right.
And I don't want that ball to get back to the top of the key.
Right.
And I kind of, when I started hearing that, when I was coaching man, I started coaching a little bit that way.
Right.
We kind of ran that at Bolton a little bit because that's when Coach Barnes was kind of at Ole Miss, I think. So I'd heard him speak at a conference one time about all that. It's phenomenal how he broke all that down.
Right. Right.
But you got to have the right players, right?
That's right.
So, I think going back, whether you're doing offense or defense, you've got to coach to your team.
That's right.
Because sometimes you're going to have a team can just get out there and run. That's
right.
You're going to have some teams that can you got to slow it down a little bit.
No, you're right.
And you got some teams that can play zone. You got some teams that just play good at man. I think some coaches get into a tunnel and they're like, this is what we're going to do and this is all we're going to do. And if you can't do it, then you don't need to be a part of the team.
That's right.
And I think, if your kids can't shoot 3-pointers, you probably shouldn't be shooting 3-pointers, right? And how many layups can you get?
That's right.
So
I agree.
So that was always a debate on us.
And it's still
defense, man.
And it still is. It still is.
I love playing man defense. I love it. But it's got to be taught properly.
And obviously in Europe, they're big on the man-to-man.
Yeah.
But they're also big on the skill development. So I feel like you can. I mean, I feel like at the youth level, expose them to both. Like, they're going to play basketball and high level.
Yeah, I just don't like having those leagues make those hard decisions. It's
right.
Like you got to play zone and you got to play man.
Right.
Yeah, you got to.
I agree.
Whatever. So that's just
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Just on that
Empower.
That's just on that lower level.
Let the coach make the decisions. That's why they're there.
All right, we can go on and on about this stuff. We can. So let's talk about some goods and bads of basketball. What do you think about AAU basketball? I know in Memphis it's a huge, big thing. We have a lot of different style of teams, and we have different levels. If you want to play AAU ball, you can be on a team.
Right.
What do you think the goods and the bads are of AAU?
I think obviously you have to play. You're going to have to be a part of those programs and those teams if you want to play at a high level.
Yep.
Maybe make your really good high school team or play collegiately.
Yep.
So you're going to have to be in those environments.
Right.
I think. One thing I think USA basketball, I know like at the EYBL level, they kind of made that rule. I think with the 17 and under, like you can only play, I think maybe 2 games or a certain amount of minutes a day,
right?
Which I think is good. But I think one thing, I'll start with the downside first. The downside I think it's taught is like, you're going to get your 3 games. These guys in like the high level AAU, they know that this coach over here is looking for this stat line.
Yep.
It's like my team can go 0-3 this week, but I got my stat line and I got my offer.
Yep.
I'm cool with that. I don't care that my team went 0-3 and lost by 15-20, but I scored 20 points. I got 4 or 5 assists. That coach was in the gym watching me. I got my offer.
Right.
I'm good.
That's it. Yeah.
So I think that's kind of the downside of like, I mean, at the end of the day, like you play to, I sound like the old coach in the NFL. Like you play to win the game. Like you play to compete at a high level. I think we've kind of, which I'm not saying that we have to sit here and, think about a loss a month down the road. But I think just what it takes to win has kind of gone away. Because it's like, I got my stat line. We lost, but as long as I got that, I'm good. Because I'm only here to get that offer.
Yeah. Well, back on the middle school level, when I got parents, they're only concerned about their child scoring.
Right.
That's a problem, right? That's a problem. I've had parents pay their kid per point, and I'm like, but you're destroying how we run offense and how we play defense.
That's right.
Because it's all about your kid.
That's right.
We are a team.
That's right.
Right. So that messes things up.
And I think I've been watching a lot of. So I have a subscription to the EuroLeague. So I watch a lot. To be honest, I watch more EuroLeague basketball than NBA. And I think that's where people are asking, why is France? Which I know it helps when you're 7'3". Like you have those guys that can be the number one pick. Yeah. Like Wembanyama, Victor Wembanyama. So he's tall. He's God blessed him with some crazy ability. But you ask yourself, you watch the Olympics and you ask yourself, why is a country of 4 or 5 million like Serbia, which I know they have 7-footers and they have some guys that are really good basketball players, but how does a country of 4 or 5 million compete with a country of 300 million? So it's but then again, it's at that age with those youth development programs, they don't have AAU, they have a program that they're a part of and they're getting developed in, and it's about. I think they take more pride and value in making the right play instead of scoring the point.
They take great value in skill.
That's right.
That's what they're doing. And Europe, I mean, you look at soccer. They're not letting those kids play 11v11 until they're a freshman in high school.
That's right.
Right. I mean, they skill those kids to death.
Right.
And that's probably why they're better. In America, I think we're all about game.
Right.
And all about competition.
That's right.
And we're leaving some kids behind because all they do is play games. They don't do a lot of skill development.
And that's even the Gino. I know we've all probably seen it. All the coaches out there, you've seen the Gino Auriemma with I think it's the winning difference video. He's sitting there and he says, in the United States, it's 5 games to 1 practice. In Europe, it's 5 practices to 1 game.
That's right.
But back to even scoring the points, me. I saw something. Billy Donovan. He asked his Florida team one year. They were coming off a national. They had won the national championship in 2006, and then they were going to try to win it in 2007. And they were going through, I think, some problems with guys that were taking kind of me shots and
trying to get to the NBA.
Trying to get to the NBA.
Yep.
And I think there was one moment there was a player that went maybe 1 for 10 or 1 for 9 in the game. Yep. And he kind of had different clips, and he timed each shot that he took. Yep. And it took him about a second to get off the 9 shots. Okay. And then he said, you played in a 40-minute game. You played 32 minutes in this game. You took 9 shots. You went 1 for 9. But he asked him, he said, it takes you 1 second to get those shots off. What did you do to impact the game in the 31 minutes, 51 seconds? Like you let 9 seconds of missing those shots ruin your other 31 minutes in the game. So I think that is a skill that is not talked about a lot, is how do I impact the game besides just scoring the ball?
I did 7th, 8th grade girls for the last 3 years, and very good for the 3 years. We would have been in the championship all 3 years. We won it in 6th grade when they were when this group of 8th graders in 6th grade. They would have been in it, but my point guard got hurt right at the end of the season, and Lucy went down.
That's tough.
And then this year we got back to the championship game. But one of the things I kept preaching to them was do something in the game that's going to make somebody else look good.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. Whether that's a pass or whether that's a screen or whether that's playing better defense or coming in to help on a trap or jumping on the floor for a loose ball, whatever it may be, do something else that makes somebody else look good.
That's right.
And it really made a difference because I had one player, she was a good player and played hard, but when she started doing things to make other people look good, she was so much better.
That's right.
So much better. I mean, it's amazing. And we don't get a lot of that.
Right.
And I think AAU ball is part of the problem.
Right.
Because those parents think that if my kid's playing AAU ball, they're gonna play high school basketball.
Right.
Well, that's not necessarily true.
That's right.
Not necessarily true. It helps.
That's right.
It most definitely helps, but it's not necessarily
I think
automatic.
We're all looking towards the short game in terms of the short way to get there.
Yep.
When the long game is always going to win in terms of the long-term development. So what you are as a 9th grader or even a 10th grader is not what you're going to, if you stick with it, is not what you're going to be as I mean, look at, you can talk about all these NBA guys, but Tyrese Halliburton, He didn't play for the Under Armour circuit. He didn't play for the Nike circuit. He didn't play for the
Who was the
Adidas.
kid that played at Memphis and never played AAU basketball? What was that kid? He might have played for Calipari.
Was it Andre Allen, maybe?
No. Forgot what.
Maybe CDR.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think that's who it was.
Maybe, yeah.
Never played AAU ball.
Yeah.
Played high school ball.
Right.
But I think he was living proof that you didn't have to play AAU.
Right.
He worked on his skills.
Right.
And he was able to make it happen.
It might have been him because I know he was a crazy player, but he might have just been that good in high school.
Yeah.
He was a good jumper.
He was really, really good. So, okay.
Or Rodney Carney. I think it might have been
Rodney.
Remember Rodney Carney with the high socks?
Yeah, that's right. All right, so this thing could go on forever. So we'll have to cut this off at some point. We'll have to do this again,
right,
and break down some other stuff.
Right.
But let's get into a couple of rules that I think is really messed up basketball, and that is replay. Yeah. And I think my problem with replay in college and even in pros, but I think they go to the college more than they do in pros.
Right.
Is that it messes up the flow of the game.
Mm-hmm.
We already have a ton of timeouts
already,
which all of the 12-minute, 8-minute, 4-minute timeouts kind of breaks up the game a little bit.
Right.
I know it's all about money.
Right.
It's all about money.
TV money, yeah.
But when it goes to replays, when these replays are lasting 2, 3, 4 minutes, you're getting an extra timeout. That's awesome. Both teams are getting it, so that's fair. But what do you think about replay? Are we trying to replay too much? Are we looking at it too much? Are we trying to make basketball perfect? I talked about that in my last podcast last week. That aggravates me a little bit.
Right. That's a good tough question because some people are using the replay to get that extra timeout late in the game.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
I kind of like maybe the NFL. They have the one challenge, which they're kind of doing that right now. But I feel like a coach. I feel like maybe one coach on this end, coach on that end. You get your one challenge.
You get one. That's all you get.
And at the end of the day, that's the only time that those officials can go to that booth and look for the replay.
Because now we got players. Something happens and they look at the referee and they're like, "You got to go look at the camera."
That's right.
I'm like, the game of basketball is not perfect.
That's right.
And I feel like we're trying to make it perfect.
That's right.
And it just kind of ruins the flow of the game.
That's right.
Especially if I'm winning and I've got an 8-0 run or something.
That's right.
You just mess me up.
That's right. I think maybe giving them that, and maybe the luxury of because they already do it now. I know, but like if you are successful, maybe you get to keep maybe one more, or maybe just one challenge. I think maybe to be fair to just strategically know you get one time that those officials can go to that booth and look at the monitor. Yeah. I think it would make it maybe at least add that component in there in terms of certain like I will say, which not being a homer when I say this, but Ole Miss, they couldn't review I think maybe the last couple minutes of the game, but there was a clear goaltend that they missed, and they didn't
call it a goaltend at that time.
That's right. But it's like
so then they couldn't go review it because they didn't call it at that time.
And I can't remember if the coach for Georgia had already used a challenge or maybe they couldn't challenge at that certain time of the game. But it's like, maybe if you give him that one, whatever time of the game, he gets one challenge, he could have used it for that moment. So I think maybe I like having one, because at least allows some sort of strategic part of the game,
right? And
you do have the technology there, but maybe not abusing the monitor over and over and over and over again, like it does.
Because it seems like every team now has 15 student managers. They've all got an iPad, and their sole job is to replay each play.
That's right.
I got to replay that. Was that a foul? Was that a flagrant 2? Was it a flagrant 1? Whatever it is. And they're like, hey, you got to review that. You got to review that. And the kid won it was watching the video the other day. The kid was like, he told the coach, Florida and he State. Got it. He was like, yeah, they're high-fiving.
Florida State Duke yesterday.
He's like, you got to get it. Was it Florida State?
I'm with you on that. Like, it is getting a little, like.
Yeah. So
just coach, like, play the game, coach the game, maybe get one. So I think that'd be my final answer. Maybe one challenge. But yeah, it is crazy to think that all those guys are on replay computers, in the back doing all that. So I'd say one replay.
One replay, okay. All right, my other pet peeve is at the end of a game and you're able to call a timeout and advance the ball to half court.
I'm so glad you asked me this because I was driving home. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Go ahead.
I was driving home. You know, you have these random thoughts. You're driving home in your car by yourself.
Yeah.
And I was like having like this internal conversation with myself about it. And I'm glad you're asking me this. So I'm really excited about this question. So I'm glad you're asking me this.
You had no idea I was asking this question?
No.
So why in the world would I allow a team to advance the ball with a timeout?
You're going to love my answer for this.
You advanced it 40 feet, and now you can actually run a play half court where you should have been on the baseline, and you got to go full court.
You're gonna love my response. And you know what? I think your audience might.
Okay.
This might be an interesting response. And I was thinking about this. All right, college football, NFL football. You kick the ball out of bounds. You get it on the 25 or 20.
30. What? Yeah.
30. Mm-hmm. Your team's down 3. All right. I can call timeouts. I can advance it to the 50.
Yeah.
And I have a chance to get one play and kick a field goal and tie the game or win the game.
Yeah.
So it's like the same concept.
Yeah, I like that.
So I'm saying in the NFL and college, why can I not call timeouts to make the game more, quote, exciting?
So give them a chance to really win.
Exactly. So my thinking is, why would I get to advance the ball in basketball?
Right.
Like, if I have one timeout, well, guess what? I got to run a full court play. If I have 2 timeouts, then maybe I could run a play and throw it to half court, then call timeout, and then that's my advance of the ball. So I was thinking, I agree. It's part of the game. Guess what? You call timeouts, you get the ball on the baseline. Okay, if you're near half court, you get it near half court.
Because every coach has got a great out of bounds play on the sideline.
That's right.
From half court.
That's right.
We probably got 2 or 3 of them.
That's right.
And we work on those.
That's right.
Because you're going to have an opportunity to run a play like that, right?
Right.
The half court, though, full court. What would happen if Duke would have been able to call a timeout instead of throwing the ball to Christian Laettner and him catching it, turning around? You wouldn't get that play, right? That's awesome.
That's right.
And it wouldn't have been the same play.
I'm with you, and it's the
change the game.
I agree. Which then again, I know you'll have some people. Everybody will disagree, and but that's the one idea. I could not stop thinking about that one idea the other day. Like, if advancing the ball is a great rule, for basketball. I don't know why I was thinking about football. Like,
that is great. I'm going to call
timeouts after the team kicked out of bounds, and I get to advance the ball to the 50, and I get to run a play or 2 to try to get in field goal range. It's kind of the same concept.
Because in football, you got some kids that can kick 65-yard field goals.
That's right.
So giving them the ball at the 50 gives them a chance to kick field goals.
That's right. And I will say, everybody's trying to make college the NBA.
Yeah, that's what I don't want.
Which maybe in the NBA, okay, in the NBA, if you want to advance the ball, that's fine.
That's fine.
But let's let I think
amateur sports is,
let high school be high school, let college be college, let pro be pro. I think, I know it's just the reality of the trickle-down effects, but I think I'm not really a fan of the advance the ball.
Yeah, I'm not either. So, all right, we got to stop this because we are way over what I normally do. All right, yes or no? Last question.
Okay.
Yes or no? Should high school have a shot clock? Yes or no? And we'll have another podcast on this.
I'll say yes.
I kind of think it does too.
I'll say yes.
Because you still see some teams holding the ball too much.
I'll say yes because I think it'll make coaches coach better.
Yeah.
And I think it will encourage better play. I think you'll actually get kids
in the flow of
getting
ready for college, right?
And I think you'll actually, if you really want to teach kids how to play good offense, like you can really teach them how to flow and get into running actions.
Yeah.
So
I think it would be, and maybe you extend the time. You don't have a 24-second, maybe you got a 30-second, right? And I kind of like the women's game too, where you don't have a 10-second backcourt.
Yeah,
I kind of like that rule. So I think there's some things they've done in the girls' game that probably could be changed over.
Right.
Into
I like
the
the quarters.
Game.
I do. I think I
love the quarters.
I like quarters.
Love the quarters. But anyway, so I think the girls' game has advanced better than the guys' game in some ways. So okay, well, we could just go on. We'll do this again.
Yep, it's been awesome. I appreciate
talk
it.
basketball because there's so much more about talking about offenses and the way we play defense and all that kind of stuff.
For sure.
We just go on and on. But my farming friends probably didn't like it today unless they're basketball friends.
I wish I could give y'all some advice, but hopefully, maybe you can learn some more about basketball while you're farming.
Maybe so. So, all right. Well, Al,
I appreciate you so much,
and
awesome this was a great experience. So thank you for letting me
awesome.
come on the podcast.
It's been awesome. All right. Well, that's it for the day. This was podcast number 13, by the way.
Okay, lucky 13.
Lucky 13. That's right.
Steve Nash.
Steve Nash. Yeah. Dribble.
That's my favorite players.
He was good. All right. So thank y'all for listening today, and we'll be right back. Well, hey, this portion of our show is brought to you by the Farmerdale Merch Store. If you haven't got you a really good hat, look how pretty that hat is. This is one of my favorite ones right here. It's a 47. It's a 47 hat. It's got the logo on it. This right here is a Richardson 112. You need to get you one of these. Pure black. I love that hat. This is a pure red. But we got different styles. We got different things going on. We still got hoodies. We still got T-shirts. So go to the Farmerdale Merch Store and get you something really nice today. Well, hey, I hope that you enjoyed that episode number 13. Coach Graham, Al Graham, awesome. We could probably talk forever about basketball. There's so much to talk about. But love Al Graham. If you're looking to train your kid for basketball, you need to look him up. I'll have his Instagram page and all that information down in the show notes so that you can contact him. And maybe you will be awesome someday with basketball. So we'll have him back probably in the fall, right before basketball seasons are starting back October, November time. And we'll talk more about basketball and about how you can make your kid better and make your player better. So enjoyed it today. I hope you enjoyed it. That was just a small glimpse of what Al Graham is. So until next time, Farmerdale out.